Cindy Crowninshield with the Bio-IT World Conference and Expo, where science and technology converge to advance precision medicine. Today, I'm speaking with Parthiban Srinivasan, who is professor and director of the Center for AI in Medicine for Vinayaka Missions Research Foundation, India. So he's the lead instructor for our workshop next week, taking place at Bio-IT, that's focused on next-gen AI for drug discovery, from LLMs to multi-agent systems. Welcome and thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, Cindy. Thank you.
So for those who may not be familiar with you or your work, can you briefly introduce yourself and tell us what you're focused on right now?
Sure. Thanks, Cindy. I think we are at a very interesting moment in biomedical AI right now, where the conversation is shifting from individual AI models to intelligent systems that can actually participate in scientific workflows. My name is Parthiban Srinivasan, Professor and Director of the Center for AI in Medicine at Vinayaka Missions Research Foundation in India, based at Arubadai Medical College and Hospital in Puducherry. My background is in computational chemistry, artificial intelligence, and drug discovery. Over the years, I have worked across academia, pharma, and research environments, including NASA Ames Research Center, Weizmann Institute of Science, AstraZeneca, Jubilant Biosys, and GVK Bio. Across these roles, one common theme has been understanding how computational systems can support scientific discovery, particularly in drug discovery and biomedical research. Right now, at Vinayaka Missions Research Foundation, our work is focused on how AI is evolving from isolated predictive models into integrated decision-making systems. We are working on multiple translational AI initiatives across healthcare and life sciences. For instance, one area involves building AI-ready biomedical infrastructure, including digital pathology repositories, microbiology data platforms, and foundation model-oriented data sets for diagnostics. And we are also working on maternal fetal digital twin systems and also multi-agent systems for heterogeneous multi-omics integration. And last but not the least, at the same time, an important part of our work is education. We are currently teaching artificial intelligence for medicine to both undergraduate and graduate medical students at Arubadai Medical College and Hospital, helping future clinicians understand how AI systems may integrate into diagnostics, precision medicine, and healthcare workflows.
Wow, that's an amazing CV. And with your background and experience, we're so excited that you're with us for Bio-IT. I know you've been coming for many, many years, and we're excited with this particular workshop, especially with the growth of AI and machine learning and what you're able to bring. And so, with that said, you're seeing a shift in industry right now. Your workshop focuses on the shifting of LLMs to multi-agent systems. So, what's your viewpoint on what you're actually seeing that's changing in how drug discovery gets done today?
Absolutely. The biggest shift is that the drug discovery is no longer being viewed as a single model problem. It is increasingly being viewed as a workflow coordination problem. See, traditionally, AI in pharma was applied in an isolated steps. One model for target prediction, another model for docking, another for ADMET prediction, and so on. These tools were extremely powerful individually, but they are all disconnected. We still have to manually move information between systems, interpret outputs, and coordinate decisions across the pipeline. So, what is changing now is the emergence of agentic system that can coordinate multiple specialized capabilities together. So, instead of a single model generating molecules, we now see systems that can retrieve literature, reason over knowledge graph, generate compounds, evaluate properties, refine strategies, and maintain memory across iterations. You know, and most importantly, this is no longer theoretical, by the way. So companies are already integrating AI into discovery pipelines and operational workflows. And many companies, they are using generative AI and workflow automation. So the bottom line is the real shift is from isolated prediction tools to coordinated, adaptive, closed loop discovery systems.
So when you see teams that are trying to coordinate these tools together, and they're connecting the data, the models, and the workflows into a single system, where do you see it actually breaking down in practice?
Oh, that's fantastic. See, in practice,
Hmm.
the breakdown almost never happens at the model level first. It usually happens at the system level. So, see, the thing is, most organizations already have very powerful models, but the challenge is integrating fragmented data, disconnected tools, and incompatible workflows into something coherent and reliable. See, one major issue is the data heterogeneity. We all know that the biological data exists across multiple formats, multiple standards, and multiple levels of quality. Experimental data, omics data, assay results, literature, knowledge graphs, imaging data, and clinical records, they all sit in completely different environments. So connecting them meaningfully is far more difficult than building another model. So the second issue is the workflow fragmentation. So the discovery pipelines involve many sequential and iterative decisions. So even if uh, each AI model performs well independently, organizations still struggle with orchestration. For instance, who decides what happens next? How is context preserved across stages? How are failures tracked? And how do systems learn from previous iterations? So that's why memory planning and feedback loops are becoming central concepts in agentic AI systems. And the third challenge is trust and validation, of
Mm.
course. And in regulated scientific environments, it is not enough for AI to produce an answer. Team needs traceability, explainability, reproducibility, and all this. And finally, there is a lab integration problem.
Mm.
And the closer AI gets to experimental workflows, the more operational complexity appears.
Mm.
So that's the whole picture of it.
So in your workshop, what do you see that is working today that you'll touch upon? And then how can teams assess whether they're ready or not to adopt these systems that you're describing?
That's a great question. What is actually working today is not fully autonomous drug discovery. What is working is AI assisted orchestration. So
Mm.
the most successful implementation today are systems where AI augments scientists by accelerating information retrieval, hypothesis generation, molecular prioritization, and iterative optimization. For example, AI assisted target discovery. That's the first one. Literature synthesis, knowledge graph reasoning, molecular generation and ranking, ADMET prediction, workflow automation, and scientific co-pilots for researchers. So these are all already creating measurable productivity gains across pharma and biotech. So in this workshop at Bio-IT World Expo 2026, we emphasize that organizations should not begin by asking, can we build autonomous AI scientists? No. Instead, they should ask, where are our workflow bottlenecks? And teams are usually ready for agentic systems when their data infrastructure is reasonably organized, workflows are digitally traceable, APIs and tools are interoperable, and there is enough institutional knowledge captured digitally. And all these points that we would cover, and this experience is something, I learned it from visiting Bio-IT World Expo over a period of time. So by talking to all the speakers and learning from them and networking with all my friends, and it's a fantastic place for us to network and learn. So I consolidate all my learnings and then convert that into this workshop. So one of the key messages in this workshop is the maturity of the workflow matters more than the sophistication of the model. So that is what that I learned it by talking to all my friends who are attending by IT World Expo.
Hmm. And you mentioned about getting teams ready for
Mhm.
adopting these systems. So in looking at an organization viewpoint, what's one thing that organizations think they're ready for doing, for adopting these systems, but really aren't?
Well, most organizations think they are ready for autonomy, but then in reality, most are only ready for assisted intelligence. So there is a tendency to assume that once you have access to powerful large language models, you can quickly move towards autonomous scientific systems. But then the autonomy requires much more than model capability. You need reliable data pipelines, robust validation layers, memory systems, workflow observability, tool interoperability, governance, human oversight, and organizational trust. So, without those foundations, organizations end up with impressive demos, but then that they don't survive in real scientific workflows. So, the organizations that will succeed are not necessarily the ones with the largest models. They are the ones that can integrate AI into real scientific workflows in a reliable, explainable, and operationally scalable way. So that's the secret, the magic. That's
Right.
how the magic evolves out of this.
Well, we're looking forward to you bringing the magic to Bio-IT next week in your workshop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you, Cindy. Yeah,
Yeah.
I look
Thank
forward
you.
to seeing you there.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And that is exactly the kind of thinking that we're bringing to our community. And thank you for joining us on Inside Bio-IT, where we highlight the leaders shaping the next era of precision medicine. I'm Cindy Crowninshield, and we'll see you at Bio-IT.